My name is Grace, and I'm 58 years old. For the first time, I'm saying something I've kept buried inside. My son left me alone. Every morning begins the same way. Sunlight filters through my kitchen window as I prepare tea. I sit at the wooden table, listening to the kettle's gentle hum. The sound is soft, but it can't fill the silence that wraps around this house like a heavy blanket. I used to wake to the sound of his footsteps overhead. Now there's nothing but stillness. My days follow a pattern. I clean rooms that rarely get dirty. I water plants that seem to grow slower than before. I walk to the corner shop where the owner greets me by name and asks how I'm doing. I always answer the same way. I'm fine. It's easier than the truth. His bedroom remains untouched. Books line the shelf exactly where he left them. His old jacket still hangs on the door hook. Sometimes I run my fingers across the fabric, but it feels cold now. The familiar scent has faded. Time steals these small things gradually, and we don't notice until they're gone. When he was young, words poured out of him constantly. He'd tell me everything about school, about his friends, about the dreams spinning in his head. I'd listen while stirring pots or folding warm laundry. Back then, I believed this would never end. I thought he'd always come home to me each evening. Then something shifted. His voice deepened, and he grew quieter. He spent more time behind closed doors. I told myself this was natural, just part of growing up. I didn't press him with questions because I feared pushing him away. Ironically, my silence helped create the distance I was trying to prevent. The morning he left wasn't dramatic. There was no argument, no harsh words exchanged. He simply packed a bag while I made breakfast. He explained he'd found a job in another city, a real opportunity for his future. I nodded and forced a smile, telling him how proud I was. My chest felt like it was being squeezed, but I hid it well. At the front door, he pulled me into a brief hug. His arms felt strong. Mine trembled. He promised to call regularly and visit when he could. Then he turned and walked down the path. I watched his back grow smaller until he disappeared around the corner. I didn't cry, not in that moment. Afterward, the days stretched longer. I kept cooking too much food out of habit, sometimes making his favorite dishes without thinking. I'd set 2 places at the table before catching myself. Seeing that single empty chair became a daily reminder of what had changed. He did call, though not as often as promised. His voice always sounded distant, rushed. He was adjusting to his new life, working long hours, building something of his own. I listened to his brief updates and asked small questions. I never mentioned the quiet house or the meals I ate alone. I didn't want him carrying guilt. One rainy evening, I sat in the dark living room watching water stream down the windows. In the glass, I caught sight of my reflection. The woman staring back looked older than I remembered, more grey hair, deeper lines around tired eyes. That's when something crystallized in my mind. He hadn't left because he stopped loving me. He left because it was time to build his own life. This realization hurt deeply, but it also loosened something tight inside my chest. I understood that I'd been waiting for calls, waiting for visits, waiting for the house to feel alive again. I'd forgotten how to simply live. The next morning felt different. I opened every window, letting fresh air sweep through the rooms. I finally entered his bedroom and carefully folded his jacket, placing it in a storage box. My hands shook, but I kept moving. This wasn't about erasing him. It was about making space for myself to breathe again. I started taking daily walks in the nearby park. I chose the same bench each time and watched life unfold around me. Mothers chasing toddlers, elderly couples feeding pigeons, young people laughing together. Sometimes watching them brought a sharp ache. Other times I felt peaceful. Both feelings existed together, and I stopped fighting that. When my son calls now, something has changed in how I listen. I still miss him terribly, but I don't cling to him with fear anymore. I tell him about my walks and the interesting people I see. He laughs more easily during our conversations. His voice sounds closer, even though the distance remains the same. In the evenings, I continue my ritual of making tea and sitting at the kitchen table. The house is quiet, but I no longer feel it's empty. I focus on the warmth of the cup in my hands, the steam rising toward the ceiling, the rhythm of my own breathing. I've learned something important through all this loneliness and silence. My son didn't abandon me. He simply moved forward with his life as children must. And I remained behind, like a tree that lets its bird take flight. The difference now is that I'm not just standing here waiting. I'm learning to feel the sky above me. The roots run deep, even when the bird has flown.